Hey there, welcome back. This is like the first episode of this Android series that we are trying to create together, guys. Uh, I welcome you. So if you are having already some knowledge about Android, then you can just stick to this video. Otherwise, just have to go back some steps away just to check out the previous videos in this series. You can start with the introduction, motivation, then go and build up the knowledge. So yeah. So in this video, we are going to be trying to see how we can modify Android applications, how we can do some patches, and how we can do this both manually and then using an instrumentation really cool tool called Frida. So this video is going to be completely for beginners. So if you don't know anything about what I'm gonna be just doing today, then this video is for you. Like if you have already some knowledge about Frida, then this video isn't going to be that advanced for now, but maybe in the next videos we can do some advanced things using Frida. So for today video we are going to be trying to set up Frida, try to do the manual patching just to the smali code directly, and then just do the same thing using Frida, just to show you that we can do that either manually or just by automating that thing. But the first thing is that we should be doing that first manually just to fully understand what Frida goal is exactly. So before we start the video, just don't forget to just follow me on Twitter, I guess, and the different other social media also accounts. And don't forget also to subscribe, that's for sure. You can also activate that notification bell. And I think just, yeah, that's it. Just now we just have to be checking out the little challenge that we have in our hands. So today's challenge is going to be revme.apk. So it's just a simple APK that we have. So I'm gonna be trying to install that application on my little emulator BlueStacks. So revme.apk. So it's installed now on my BlueStack emulator. So it's just a simple application that is asking for a password. So let's say, for example, the password is I don't buy it. So try again. So it's not. So the goal of the application is to figure out exactly what is the password to be validating the challenge. So the challenge is just consisting of finding out the password which is just the same as the flag. Anyway, so if we try to go and drop this little application on JDEX, which is a tool that can help us reverse engineer statically the code. So if we go back little, so explorer.exe, I'm gonna be trying to drop this little application right here just to see exactly what's happening inside of it, just to fully try to understand or grasp the logic that has this little application in our hand. So we go into com source code example.basic rev main activity, and then once we check the main activity, we see that we have the onCreate life cycle, and then it's creating a button, creating an edit text object to creating a string that is called seed, that he's going to be retrieving that from the resources. Then he's going to be creating a listener. This listener is going to be just triggered once you click something, which is the button. So once you click the button, which is the little guy right here, it's going to be triggering some logic, which is going to be checking if two objects are equal, just using the method equals. So this method is going to be having the 81.getText. So 81 is just the edit text, like the one that we have in front of us, which is this little guy right here. Uh, with the method called makeFlag, that is going to be passing the seed to it. So the thing is that the password is supposedly should be generated just using this method. So once we try to reverse engineer this method and try to recreate statically, for example, the code, or actually the password that this function is going to be returning, uh, we should be fully figuring out what is the password. So guys, you can, for example, now pause the video and just go and try to solve this little challenge alone. It's not that like that hard to be like solved. You can just solve it, so it's an easy one. You just have to go and figure out exactly what this make flag is doing. You just have to mimic what the make flag is doing. You can do that locally on your computer, and then you need just to figure out exactly what is the seed, then pass it to the make flag, and then that's it, that's over. You just have to regenerate like the password that you have. So I'm gonna be doing that, we're gonna be doing that. So we're gonna be trying to approach this little application in three ways. So the first way, I'm gonna be trying to do it like statically by trying to regenerate the make flag, and then I'm gonna be trying to patch the application to make it try to call like the make flag directly inside of the code. And the third way is I'm gonna be trying to showcase to you how we can like hook Frida to, or I'm gonna be trying to show you how we can hook make flag specifically, so we can try to see the result of make flag on runtime dynamically. So we're gonna be trying to see how we can like do some dynamic analysis in Android. So just using Frida. So that's the main theme of the video. So, but we're gonna be trying to do that also like manually. So the first thing is to do is like since we have make flag in front of us, so we should be trying to do is we should like try to figure out what is the seed. So that's the first thing. So if we go into resources seed, see that there is a little address right here, which is this little guy right here. So I'm gonna be going into resources, resources dot arsc. So it's loading. I guess it's over. We go into values and then strings, and then I'm gonna be searching for seed. So this is the seed that we should be like passing down to the make flag. So now all what we have to do is like go into the main activity, get this little code right here, which is like having like the logic of the make flag. I'm gonna be trying to translate that to Python, so I'm gonna be using ChatGPT for that one. So translate this to Python, please. So I'm gonna be trying to just to gain some time. I'm gonna be just translating that using ChatGPT, taking the code, and just trying now to run it. So we have right now the seed. So I'm gonna be now trying to call the make flag function with the seed required, which is if we go back into JDX, just little guy, which is this one right here. So okay. Okay, I should post. Yeah. Now, if we try to run the little script that we have, yeah, just having. Okay, let's go back a little. Yeah, so this is like the password. So this is like a simple way on how we can solve the challenge. We can just make sure to check if this is like the password or not, just by going here. So yeah, so well played. You can validate with that password. So that's the password. So just a simple Android application or a simple Android challenge where we just fully just reverse engineer what the code is doing. Now, how can we like now do the same thing but try to modify the code? So the thing is that we can't modify directly the Java code that is in front of us. So there is no way, for example, I can do and try to do some patching directly to the code by saying, for example, so I want to be changing the try again into calling this make flag function with the seed that we already have right here. So this is where we should be trying to go to the smali code, try to patch it. So this is the steps that we should be doing. So like we should be trying to go like right here, trying for example, I don't know, trying for example to go, and the first step is try to decompile the APK. The second step is go and change the smali code, and the third step is to go and try to rebuild the APK with the new smali code. So those are the different like steps that we should be doing in order to be able to patch the application or the APK. So the first question that could be asked, how can we decompile the application? This is where APK tools comes into the game. So we just have to go and so I'm already having like APK tools. So now, so I'm gonna be typing out java.jar just to run the APK tool D, and then give it like the application that I want to be decompiling. So revme.apk. So now it's basically just dissecting the application into the different folders and getting the smali code inside of different inside of each each folder, and then so it's just going to be decompiling the application. So we're gonna be seeing this one. So it's gonna be taking some time, I guess, because it's mainly just running inside of the Linux, Windows Linux subsystem, so it's gonna be taking some time. So we can just have to wait for it. So yeah, it's over. Okay, so if we go now into okay, yeah. So now we have like different folders. So the thing is that we need to be searching, for example. So I'm gonna be going back to JDAX since there is a good thing. So when we try to be when you're trying, for example, to reverse engineer specifically an Android application, and you're like seeing something like that, you should be happy simply because like the code is not obfuscated or something. So you should be able to try to find some strings inside of the smali code that you are trying to patch. So for example, now I should be trying to figure out exactly where this logic of the on click is occurring exactly. So I'm gonna be trying to see, for example, the first smali. So so there is no example dot basic rev. This one is having example, but it's not having any main activity. So it should be in this smali class 3. So yeah, so there are two main activities. So this is like the smali code of the first file, and there is also another file. So we should be trying to search for try again, since we are trying to change try again with make flag. So when I try, for example, to give a wrong password, he's going to be calling the make flag with the specific seed, and then just return back the password in front of us. So it's just going to be printing for you the password directly when you click check that. So that's the goal of the modification that we are trying to do. So if we try to do that, like if there's like, is there like any try again here? No. Is it? We should be trying to check the other file. Is there like any try again here? Yes. So this is the file that is containing the logic. So as we can see, he's going to be getting the object of this, which is this little guy right here. And then he is going to be calling get application context, which is this little guy right here. Then he's going to be saving that into v0. Then he's going to be passing down like the constant, which is the string, to v2. And then he's going to be invoking a static method, which is like the toast, as you can see, which is this little guy right here with the method make text, which as you can see, just using the arrow key. And then he's going to move the result into v0, and as you can see, this little guy right here is going to be calling show. So this is the show function. So he's going to be invoking the same method, but this time like with the show method. So he's like wrapping up methods, and this is the way on how you can do it like in smali code. So the thing is that how can we try to change like the try again to be pointing out to this dot make flag seed? So we can try to go a little back and see how he is already doing that. So for example, if you can try to see right here, he's doing the same logic. So he's having like this, and then you see the seed, and then you see the call to the method make flag, and then you see that he's going to be moving the result, which is an object, to v1, and then he's going to be just comparing like what's in the v0 with v1. V0 is already like having the text input that we will be trying to give, and then just convert it by using the method to a string, and just saving that object inside of v0 and then comparing it with v1. So just a pretty simple way on how you can do like conversion in smali code. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be trying to do a little trick by just getting this little code right here and just do the same thing that he's doing in the V2. So there is another interesting or another important note that we should be caring about is how many registers do we have in this little like method? So we have dot locals 3, which means that we have like four registers, which are v0, v1, v2, and v3. And I need to be making sure that I'm doing this rightly, guys, because otherwise, like when you try to recompile or rebuild the application, maybe the application is going to be crashing when it's going to be trying to run that code inside, the Android runtime machine. So maybe the compilation can pass, but if you're like, giving some wrong logic or using some wrong registers, maybe this is not going to be working for you, and the application is not even going to be starting for you. So you need to make sure that you do this rightly. So this is like the make text. So it's going to be taking v0, v2, and v1. So what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be taking like, um, so just the first thing to do is that we're going to be moving the result object to v2. So v2 is the result. Uh, the other thing that we should also be caring about is like we should be like getting the object, which is this, into some kind of register, which is actually should be, for example, in this case, v2, because we are trying to call this make flag seed. So this is like saying I'm gonna be like passing down this into v2, and then we should be like taking the seed also. So we should be saving the seed into a register too. So I'm gonna be using v3 since v3 is not used. And then I'm gonna be like passing down v3 to the v2. V2 is holding up like this, and I'm trying to call like make flag. So it's like saying this dot make flag, and then I'm passing like the seed which is already like saved in v3, and then I'm gonna be like uh you know passing down the v2, moving the result of this function into v2, and then I'm going to be passing v2 to make text just to call out the make flag function with the seed that we already have generated dynamically, or uh, just he's retrieving the seed. It's not like he's using a randomized function or something, but like he's retrieving that from the resources, but we're doing that dynamically. So yes, so once we do that, we've fully tried to patch now the application. Now the next thing to do is try to rebuild a new application. So to do that, we can use the same APK tool. Okay, so I'm gonna be saying java dot jar apk tool, but instead of using decompile, I'm gonna be using build. So I'm gonna be saying I'm gonna be building which folder, which is revme, which is this little guy right here. And then I'm gonna be just calling out, for example, revme.patch apk. So I'm gonna be just regenerating another apk. So he's now trying to get all the resources and try to rebuild another application for us. So we just need to wait, I guess. Yeah. Am I the only fan of chip tune music? Because I feel like the chip tune music is so good, especially when you're trying to work with stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know why it's taking too much time, but we just have to wait until it completes the building process. But I guess it's because of the like Windows Linux subsystem, so yeah, it's now. I suppose it's gonna be like finishing up in a few seconds, I guess. It's taking too much time. I don't know why, but I think I'm gonna be trying to do the same rebuild just by using. Uh, the thing is that I think the APK is generated, but it's like I want to make sure that it's like completely finishing this up. Okay, I'm gonna be trying just to say I don't want it to have this little guy right here, but I'm gonna be trying to do the same thing, just using Windows, the main like host machine, because I think there is a problem with the with the Windows Linux subsystem. Yeah, so revme, and let's call it revme .apk. I guess that should be like done in a few seconds, I guess. Yeah, the issue was like with the WSL. Yeah, so we have now another version which is revme patch.apk. So the thing I'm gonna be trying now to try to you install you install the version that we have. So you install like revme or basic rev. I don't know. It's basic rev maybe. No, I think it's I need to be giving the package name, which is basic comics. Yeah, that's it. Now we don't have like the application is you installed. I'm gonna be trying to install now the new version that we have patched. So adb install revme.patch, but there is an issue. Fail to collect certificates. Now that's the thing. Do you remember when we have talked about like signatures and that you should be signing your application, and if the application is not signed or is having an issue with the signature, it won't be installed on your phone. This is where you should be trying to sign your application, which means guys, when you try to patch the application, we have like played around the integrity of the application. So what happens is that the signature of the application have changed, since what he's doing when he's trying to install the application, he's going to be checking the signature and then actually trying to recalculate the signature of the application that is passed with the signature itself, which means that he's going to be recalculating the signature and let's compare it with the signature that was like linked with the application itself, which is like this little like guy right here, which is APK signature. What happens is that like the signature that and um, he's having and the signature that was recalculated are not the same. So that's why we need to be now trying to generate two keys, private key and public key, and create a certificate and then just sign back the new application that we have patched with this little certificate. So I'm going to be using two little tools. The first tool is called key tools. This is going to be generating for us a certificate. So there's an issue. KeyTools is not installed. Wait a second. Yeah, it's just I think key with an uppercase if I'm not wrong. KeyTool is not. Yeah, wait a second. Yeah, this little should be like installed, I guess. Command not found. I think I've installed that if I'm not wrong. What about jar signer? Like, do we have it? Jar signer is there, but KeyTool is not there. Okay, that's super weird, I guess. Key tool should be there, I guess. What? Yeah, like I suppose key tool is not. Yeah, it should be like. Yeah, that's it. Anyways, I was just making sure that just the key should be like lowercase. Anyway, so key tool is going to be generating for us the certificate. So I'm gonna be the first thing that we should be trying to do is just generate a certificate. So I'm gonna be just setting up, for example, the password as Android, and then last name. So I'm gonna be just leaving them empty. So those are actually the metadata of the certificate, where it's saying like who is the one who is signing this, who is the owner of this certificate, the city, and all of that. So yes, And now we should be having like a certificate right here, which is this little debug.keystore. Just call it debug keystore. You just have to play around this little name right here. So yeah, so the next thing to do is just I'm gonna be trying to use jar signer to be signing the application now. So jar signer should be just having the path to the debug key store that you have, and then the store path that you have just already like set for the certificate, and then you just have to be giving the APK that you want to be signing. In this case, it's revme patched version.apk, and then you just have to give it the Android debug key. So enable to open jar file. Yeah, just have EW in here. So now he's trying to be signing up the application. So the jar sign. So the signer is unknown. It's okay, but it's a trusted certificate. So now the application is signed. What if we try now to do the same installation, but now see what happens? So now it's installing, I guess, since we have like signed the application. So it's success. If we try to go and inside of basic rev, if we try to give, for example, any random like password and then press check password, he's going to be printing for us like the password that we have like try to play around. Now it's not showing any more try again, but show us the password, which means that the patching process that we did like worked perfectly. Now this is how we manually do things. I guess now we should be like passing to another interesting thing. It's time to be talking about how we can automate this. I don't want to be during that like process go decompile then change then recompile back again then sign. We can do all of that like dynamically when the application is running just using a tool called frida. So it's just a simple instrumentation tool that we can use. So the first thing that we should be like caring about is so I'm gonna be just first explaining for you what Frida is doing. So the architecture that we're gonna be having is that you should be installing like the Frida client on your computer and the Frida server on the emulator or the phone that you want to be trying to play with. And what happens is that, for example, in this case, we have this little application running, and the goal of the instrumentation that we will be doing is that we want to be like hooking the make flag function and just show the results of it and also show the seed that was passed to it. So the thing is that Frida works in a way that it can, for example, um, when you try, for example, to trigger a method inside of an Android application, you can hook Frida to this little method that you have in front of you, which in this case is it's going to be make flag. So I'm going to be trying to hook Frida to this method. I'm not going to be changing anything of like the logic that it has, but just show exactly what make flag is returning. And then I'm just also going to be showing as also I like the parameter that was passed to make flag. So those are the two goals that I want to be doing with Frida. So I want to be hooking Frida to the application to see the result of make flag method and see also the parameter that was passed to it. So this is what I want to be doing. So the first thing, as we already just talked about, so you just need to be having Frida client in your computer. So in my case, just when I type down into Windows like Frida, as you can see, Frida is already installed, which means that the Frida client is already installed in my computer. So you should also try to do that. So you just have to go Frida Android client. You just have to go right here and then just try to install Frida Android. I just want to be installing the client. So wait a second. There are different ways to install it, but you just have to go into the documentation and see how you can install like uh, Android like pip install. Just have to install like the Python version and just yeah, you just have to go and just do a pip install Frida tools into your computer, and then you can either do that like if you have Linux, and if you have Windows it works the same, and then just go into the tools that you have installed. You should be having like Frida client installed with them. You should also, I think, try to set up the environment, path by adding that Frida client path to your Windows environment, like path a variable, and then just you're just gonna be having like Frida client just by typing directly Frida in your command line, and that's it. So this is like the first step you should be doing. You should be installing Frida client, and then the second thing you just have to be also having Frida server in the phone or the emulator you're trying to play with. And what happens is that Frida server is going to be having some code, some JavaScript code or JS code that is going to be executed inside of the V8 JavaScript engine, which is the one responsible for running out the code that we will be trying to craft. And this little V8 is actually going to be working on the memory space of the application, uh, or the space of the application itself. So that's why your phone should be like rooted to be able to have a Frida server on your phone that should also be working as a root or running as a root. So the next step that we should also be caring about, so once you install like the Frida client, you should be trying to push that Frida server in your phone, run it as a root, and then you should be able to craft a code and try to hook it to the application when it was running on runtime. So this is how you do like dynamic analysis. Okay, so the next step that we should be caring about once you install like the client is to install this server. So to install the server, you just have to go into releases pages, go into the assets, and try to search for Frida server. And then you should be just caring about what kind of architecture you have in your phone. So for example, if you have ARM, then you just have to be installing the Frida server Android ARM version. So to be able to know what kind of architecture you have in your phone, you just have to be typing, for example, go into the phone, ADB shell, and then type in uname-a. For example, for my case, my emulator is 8664 architecture, so it's having the CPU which is having like the architecture 8664. So that means I should be like downloading the Android 8664 version .xz. So this little guy right here. So I'm gonna be trying to download that. So it's already like downloaded, so I'm not gonna be re-downloading that. And the next step is you go into exit, and for example, in this case, do we have like this server? Yes, it's already right here. So I'm going to be pushing that into a specific path. In this case, it's saying that you should be pushing that into data local temp. You just have to follow the documentation. For example, in this case, I don't have like the Frida server there, so I need to be doing that. So I'm going to be typing in adb push. I want to be pushing Frida server into this little path, which is data local TMP, and he's gonna be trying to push that inside of the phone. So if I try to go ADB shell, change into root, and then just go into dash data dash local dash TMP, I should be having like the Frida server right here. So I'm gonna be trying to unzip that Frida server. Then, so we don't have now the .xxz, and then I'm gonna be trying to run that with this little like permissions just to make sure that it's executable. So I'm gonna be changing the mode just with the Frida, and then I'm gonna be trying to run that in the background. So now it should be like running in the background. So now the server is running. How can we check that the server is already like connected to the client? We just have to exit. Okay, it's taking some time. Anyway, I'm gonna be just opening up a new one. I'm gonna be just making sure like we don't care about that. So okay, so if we try to do frida-ps and then type u just to make sure that it's connected to the phone, we should be having like the processes that are running inside of the phone. For example, in this case we have basic rev, so I'm gonna be checking if we have like basic rev there or not. Yeah, we have like basic graph running. So this is like the process ID of that. The ID of the process, which is the basic graph, which is the application that we are trying to hook. So now I guess everything is working fine. Like the Frida client in my computer is connected with the Frida server that is inside of the phone. Now the next step is like to try and see how can we try to like hook the make flag functions by creating a GS code that is going to be doing this functionality for us. So we're trying to automate the process. So the first thing I'm going to be doing also, I'm going to be trying to you install you install the version that we have right now. So install back the original one, adb shell. Yeah, so it's you installed. I think everything is perfect. So if you go back a little, so we should be having two versions. So yeah, I wanted to be installing the original version now. It'll be install revme.apk. Yeah, so we're now back to having the original version, I guess. Yeah, it's the original version. So what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be now creating a code that is going to be helping us uh, do like the logic that we will be doing with like Frida. So Frida requires like GS code to be injecting it inside of that V8, like as we saw like in this little like uh, picture. So it's going to be having some JavaScript code that was going to be like run by the Frida client, just and sent directly to the V8. So the first step, the Frida client is going to be connecting with the server. The server is going to be connecting with the V8, and then the client will be transmitting the JavaScript code that will be containing the logic, which will be actually hooking a specific method. For example, in our case, with the application itself. So the method that I want to be hooking in this case is actually the make flag. So I want to be checking out the result of the make flag and the parameter that was passed to it. So the first thing, if we try to check out the documentation, so it's saying like, do we have like any kind of, yeah, so this is an example of a code, for example. So this is like a script that was like going to be executed by the Frida. So this is just a Python code. So I'm gonna be trying to do that like manually. So just to explain for you how things are going to be done. So we have Java, so I'm gonna be like Java perform. We have a function. We are gonna be creating a function, and then we're going to be opening up. So, for example, in this case, we want to. Yeah, it's. I think it's already like. Yes, but yeah, I think that's good. Like I'm gonna be using what Copilot is just giving for me, but not this one. So this is like the main activity. Basic rev and all of that. No. Okay. And the target like dot class dot like no, like I want to get also like we have the class name, I guess. So like this is like the target class. Yeah, this is like the target class that we should be like targeting. And then what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be just trying to call, yes, this little guy right here. So make flag called with seed. Result, this is the make flag with the seed. And then just get it back. And then just return the result. Yeah, this is exactly what I want to be doing. So I'm gonna be also trying to do yeah, some some messages to make sure that the function is called when we try to hook it. And I guess that's it. So already like the Copilot is doing the job for us, so we don't have to be writing a lot of code alone. So he's doing a lot of things just by knowing the context, I guess. So we have like the target class now, which is going to be just using like this specific class, which is I'm gonna be trying in this case to be calling the main activity, and then I'm gonna be using the class and then make flag. But implementation, which means now I'm hooking the Frida to this specific method, which is make flag, and then this method is having a parameter, which is the seed, which is a single actually parameter. So I'm gonna be just logging out that seed and then calling the result of this function, storing it inside of result, and then just logging also result. But this little function should be like triggered once I click on the on click, like on click, like when I try to click on the button, because if you don't click on the button, it's not gonna be triggered. So we're gonna be trying to see that. Anyway, so how can we now try to run this little like JavaScript or hook script that we have like created? So we just have to go into like Frida. So I'm gonna be saying Frida dash u dash n and then give it like the name of the name of the packet that is running on the phone. So to be able to know the name of the package, you just have to be writing adb uh, or Frida just ps and then dash u and then just find string which having Frida, not Frida, basic rev, I'm sorry, which is this little guy right here. So that means that the name of the package or the process that is running is actually basic rev. So you just have to be giving like Frida dash u dash n, the name of the process. Oh my god, Frida dash u dash n, name of the process, which is basic rev, then just dash L, and then you should be just giving like the code of the GS code that was given to you by Frida, so that you have already created. I mean, so I suppose now the client is connected to the emulator, which is a good thing, and is already attached to the process, which means that it's a good thing, and the Frida script is already working. So if we go back to the application now and try to press check password, we see now that we have like making a flag result, and we're having like we're seeing the password in front of us. Yeah, I guess like doing that in an automated way just makes more sense to you, I guess. Now we tried to do that manually, then tried to do patching manually, and then we're doing that in an automated way, I guess. So I guess those are the steps that you should be understanding exactly when you're trying to approach those things. I hope you learned something new out of this video. I hope so. Anyway, so I guess next video is going to be about native applications. So you should be tuned more for the next video, I guess, especially for people who are like dealing a lot with native applications. We're more likely going to be getting back into Linux and libraries and a lot of interesting stuff. Yeah, I guess so. This is the end of the video. So don't forget to follow me on Twitter, and don't forget to hit that sub button too, and see you on the next video. Bye.